This story begins like this: a car broke the tire in front of the asylum. The driver got out irritated, scratching his head, and thought, "I'm late and still me." This happens, so he takes the wheel wrench, the triangle, spare tire and jack, and get ready to change the tire. While doing the job, he observes that there's a madman looking at them, showing a little smile. So he thinks, "I just needed this, angry, late and still a madman out, debauchery of my face." The hospital road had many potholes due to the recent rains and the angry man. He makes some sudden movements and ends up kicking the nuts he had just taken from the wheel, which fall into a hole similar to a snake hole and quickly go to the bottom. The nuts get lost and he, stressed and now confused, this citizen starts to circulate the vehicle, thinking about how solve the dilemma. After all, the four wheel nuts had been lost. As he thinks and grumbles, he looks, and the madman's smile begins to transform lightly into laughter. Indignant, he questioned, "What is the reason for grace for? By chance, would you know how to solve my problem?" The madman indicates, "If you take one nut for each wheel and put in the that is missing, all the wheels will be with 3 nuts, and you can go somewhere safely and buy the nuts that are missing." The man, driver, with a haughty air said, "You know, crazy, I thought you were crazy." And the crazy person replied, "I'm crazy, but I'm not stupid." That was good. 2 madmen were talking about a certain book, which one lent to the other. "So, did you like the book I lent you?" asked the first. "Yes, the story is good. There are only a lot of characters. I got tired from so much reading. I believe I will take a while to read the whole work." Off sudden, a third crazy, screaming at hospice corridor, "Someone saw my phone book. That one was good too." This madness is not funny, the big one. The truth is that it's only funny in the anecdotes. For a family that lives with this drama, it's truly terrifying. And we know, for example, a lady who had a mania for persecution. She had an incredible reality that the neighbor spied on her house, placing a camera on the roof, and like this followed what she was doing inside the house, listening to her report and meeting the neighbor. Accused, we were scared of what a person with neurological problems is capable of thinking. It's a world totally apart. Psychiatric hospitalization is a way of treating patients who present some type of mental disorder with the aim of getting them out of the crisis in. If they find themselves, at the time they can put their life and the lives of others in your family at risk. This happens when the doctor realizes that this is the best option for the patient to deal with. Reversible dementias can be caused by the following factors: depression, endocrine conditions, poor nutrition, vitamin deficiencies, anemia, dehydration, misuse of medications, normotensive hydrocephalus, infections, and brain tumors. When treating the issue, original dementia symptoms usually disappear, and irreversible dementias are characterized by the degenerative process of the brain. Those with are part of this group: Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, diseases vascular and others of an aggressive nature, AIDS and cranial trauma. And the symptoms we observe are loss of memory, confusion and disorientation, difficulty in understanding written or verbal communication, difficulty in making decisions and recognizing family members and friends, forgetting to common facts, such as day that are, or month or year, changes in personality and critical thinking, lack of appetite, weight loss, incontinence, urinary and fecal, loss of orientation, known environments, movements and speech, repetitive difficulty driving or shopping alone, cooking, and perform personal care. If identified either these signs, the patient should be taken to the doctor. What behaviors throughout life most influence the development of a dementia situation in the elderly? Are the poor quality of sleep in youth, hypertension, obesity, smoking, depression, physical inactivity, diabetes, and social isolation. How can the family help to identify the condition and collaborate with the treatment? Through behavioral measures, such as keeping the routine daily, not abruptly change the environment in which the elderly person lives. Expose it to sunlight the morning and stimulating physical walks and activities. Further, it takes avoid light and noise at night, thus stimulating the elderly person emotionally with verbal language and nonverbal. Encourage participation in support groups. Family members should be alert and be responsible. If necessary, take them to the geriatrician. The more patience and love the family have, less painful it will be the recovery process. The main treatments carried out for the control of dementia and allowing for a more peaceful evolution are mental exercises, games, multitasking, physical exercise, nutrition, balanced, quitting smoking, undergoing therapy. Always seeking to have a purpose of life. For irreversible dementias, they do not have a curative or reversal treatment. Medication, the medications that exist currently, they are still just to improve behavior and do not present concrete evidence of impact on the progression of the disease. And when it arrives at that point, only a miracle from God. It's sad when someone needs to be taken to a psychiatric hospital. There have been reports from professionals who said many people leave worse than they entered and many didn't even leave, one narrated. I saw a lot of cowardice inside, a lot. Sad thing, said the intern, who spent much of his life in one of these poor quality hospitals. For centuries, we discuss about the best way to deal with the madness. The idea of keeping mentally ill in asylums is still the subject of discussion among the many doctors and healthcare professionals. For us Christians, called folly can, in some cases, be arising possessions. Demonic. It is obvious that the case is simply neurological, but for one good analyst, a spiritual discernment, it is totally ideal for this treatment, and who knows, a possible cure. It is all a question of love, because it's us. You know cases where parents give their lives for their children, and at the end of their lives their children put them in asylums, mental institutions to get rid of them and still keep the financial earnings that are appropriate to these elderly people. By studying on this subject, we learned of reports of terrible institutions that looked like dirty chains than a place that could treat someone who sometimes has only one adult body, more as a child's soul, unable to defend itself and be cured that way. Fortunately, these places were closed to prevent the real Holocaust that these patients were submitted. Therefore, the Church, as Christian association, which has a lot contributed to the change of so many individuals with their worst problems, must be attentive and, with God's help, Seek to know about the areas and difficulties that someone is